American television sitcom Gimme a Break aired on NBC for 6 seasons, from October 29, 1981 to May 12, 1987. It was created by writers and producers Mort Lachman and Cy Rosen, and was produced by Mort Lachman and Associates for the entire series, and Alan Landsberg Productions, later renamed as Reeves Entertainment Group. In the early 80s, NBC was struggling. NBC proud as a peacock. The network only had 2 successful comedies on the air, Different Strokes and The Facts of Life. They were desperate for a hit, but after they looked at all their comedy pilots for the upcoming broadcast season, they quickly realized that none of them were going to cut it. They went back to the drawing board and came up with the concept of a show centered on a white widower raising his teenage girls with the help of their black maid. Fred Silverman, then president of NBC, had one specific person in mind to play the role of the maid, a Broadway star named Nell Carter. When approached with the offer, she jumped at the opportunity. Gimme a Break took place in the fictional Los Angeles, California suburb of Glen Lawn. Nellie Ruth, or Nell Harper, played by Nell Carter, agrees to be a housekeeper for the Kiniski household as a special favor to her late friend, Margaret Kiniski, who was the wife of police chief Carl Kiniski, played by Dolph Sweet. Nell also served as a confidant to the chief's 3 daughters. 17-year-old Katie, played by Kari Michelson, 15-year-old Julie, played by Laurie Hendler, and 13-year-old Samantha, played by Laura Jill Miller. Fun fact, Kari beat out Helen Hunt for the role of Katie. While the network was banking on a hit, the premiere, sadly, was a disaster. The pilot received a particularly scathing review from the Washington Post from writer Tom Shales. "I wish I could sue NBC for the grievous consternation, intestinal distress, and aggravated low moaning I have suffered as a result of Gimme a Break." NBC believed in Nell's talent, though, and kept the show on the air. Fun fact, a number of celebrities appeared on Gimme a Break, including Whitney Houston, Andy Gibb, Sammy Davis Jr., and Ray Parker Jr. In some of those episodes, the guests would eventually perform a song with Nell. Over its run, the series used 2 different theme songs. The first was composed by Bob Christensen, with lyrics by Bob Garrett and Marley Sims. 2 versions of this song were used, one for the first season and a new recording for the second.
Give me a break, I sure deserve it. It's time I made it to the top.
A new theme with music by Jay Graydon and lyrics by Richard Page was introduced in the 3rd season and used for the remainder of the show's run. Nell performed both themes.
Give me a break, yeah, yeah. Give me a break, 'cause I still need one. Give me a break, yeah, yeah. I finally know where I belong. Give me a break.
At the beginning of the 2nd season, Gimme a Break was struggling to stay afloat. Nell was wrestling a life-threatening addiction to drugs, alcohol, and food. In the summer of 1982, her friends convinced her to enter rehab. John Hoyt also joined the main cast as Carl's father, Stanley Grandpa Kiniski. Despite the drama behind the scenes, the ratings for the show started to climb. The girls became role models for teenagers across the nation, and Nell received an Emmy nomination for Best Actress in a Comedy Series. While Nell's 1982 rehab stint was her first stab at getting clean and sober, it wouldn't be her last. Her drug addiction continued to not only be a personal problem, but it eventually began to affect her work. She would be missing from the set so much that during rehearsals, someone else had to walk around reading her part to get reaction shots from the cast. But when it was time to tape, Nell always showed up and showed out. Rumor has it that she also had a stormy relationship with the show's original producers Coleman Mitchell and Jeffrey Nair, which involved personality conflicts and creative differences. The uneasy interaction heightened as the show's success grew heavily in the early seasons, so much that the duo were dismissed from the show at the behest of Nell just prior to the start of the 1983-84 season. NBC then hired the veteran team of Rod Parker and Hal Cooper to take over as executive producers. Nell found that she saw eye to eye more often with them on all levels, and due to the stability, the latter team would stay with the program for the rest of its run. By the time the 3rd season premiered, Nell was rewarded with a 2nd Emmy nomination, and the cast grew with the addition of the character of a child scam artist turned adopted son named Joey Donovan, played by 7-year-old Joey Lawrence, and Howard Morton as Officer Ralph Waldo Simpson, a police officer who was a subordinate of the chief's. The following season, Telma Hopkins joined the main cast as Nell's childhood friend, Dr. Adelaide Addie Wilson. Then, Nell's world came crashing down, almost ending Gimme a Break and her life in a tragic way. In November 1983, George Kronicki, her Austrian husband, who she'd married the year before, called it quits on their long-distance union. In early 1984, she traveled to London to see her friend Liza Minnelli perform. However, before the show, Nell attempted to take her own life by swallowing a handful of sleeping pills and chasing them with an expensive bottle of French wine. After she survived, Liza put her on a plane straight to the Hazelden Clinic in Minnesota. Nell emerged from rehab in the spring of 1984, clean, sober, and 91 pounds lighter. The weight wouldn't stay off permanently though, as she would put a little back on. Then a little became a lot. Nell's weight gain wreaked havoc on the show's storylines, which revolved around her character's slimmer physique. In August that year, production shut down while Dolph recovered from stomach surgery as a result of his stomach cancer battle. The writers struggled to come up with ways to navigate the show during his recovery, suggesting that they could write him out or he could just do voiceovers, but he insisted on coming to the set to work. On May 8, 1985, Dolph Sweet passed away, just days before the season 4 finale aired, which marked his final appearance. He was 65 years old. His character's death was addressed in the season 5 premiere. Also during this season, Jonathan Silverman, playing Julie's boyfriend and later husband Jonathan Maxwell, joined the main cast. Then, network executives dropped a bombshell. Massive changes needed to be made to the show, or it would be canceled. The reason? NBC had a new hit called The Cosby Show, effectively rendering Gimme a Break disposable. So, during the 6th and what would end up being the final season, the show's setting was changed from California to New York City, with Nell, Addie, Sam, Joey, and Grandpa all moving. The changes didn't stop there, however. Joey Lawrence's younger brother Matthew was brought in, naturally, to play character Joey's brother, Matthew Donovan, and boost the show's cute factor. Since the brothers were such a hit, NBC decided to fire the 3 girls. Jonathan and Officer Simpson were also dropped from the series. A few other new faces were officially added. Nell's mother, Maybelle Mama Harper, played by Rosetta Lenoir. She was first introduced in season 4. Fun fact, the character made prior appearances in season 1 and season 3, but was named Emma and played by Hilda Haynes. Marty, the landlord of the building where Nell, Addie, Joey, and Matthew lived, played by Paul San, and Nell's upstairs neighbor Maggie O'Brien, played by Rosie O'Donnell, rounded out the rest of the cast. Rosie later revealed how, at first, she was thrilled and excited that her big break would be getting cast on a major primetime television show, yet very quickly became disappointed and disheartened at feeling snubbed by most of the cast, who, for the most part, treated her more as an interloper than a fellow actor. Apparently, Nell really didn't appreciate Rosie coming on board and stealing the limelight, so she never went out of her way to speak to her on the set, and only ever addressed her by her character's name.
This one particular lady said I always called her by her character's name. I'm sorry that you feel that way, honey. I really am. But we were working with children. And children, if you want to get them in there and get them out in time, you talk character names.
Petty squabbles aside, the problems with the show went much deeper. As the ratings plummeted, NBC switched the time slots throughout the 1986-87 season multiple times. Since one of the most important factors to sustain a series is airing it the same time every week so viewers can find it, all those changes sealed the show's fate. On May 12, 1987, after 6 seasons, Gimme a Break aired for the last time. Fun fact, Nell Carter was the only cast member to appear in every episode. John Hoyt died after a bout with lung cancer on September 15, 1991. He was 85 years old. After suffering a stroke in 1997, Howard Morton passed away on May 11th of that year at the age of 71. Rosetta Lenoir died on March 17, 2002, of complications from diabetes. She was 90 years old. Nell distanced herself from the show following its run. She told the New York Times in 1988, "I don't want to go to my grave being known as the girl from Gimme a Break. That wasn't me. It was just a job." She returned to nightclubs while shopping around for another series. One pilot failed to gain network traction, while her comedy series You Take the Kids collapsed after only 1 month in 1991. She fared better as a co-star on Hangin' with Mr. Cooper and in guest roles on series like Ally McBeal. Off-screen, Nell suffered from various health conditions and personal challenges, including bouts with bankruptcy and 2 failed marriages. On January 23, 2003, she collapsed and died in her home. The coroner's office determined that the cause of death was most likely a combination of heart disease and diabetes. She was 54 years old. Gimme a Break has been in syndication since 1985. Universal Studios Home Entertainment released a 3-disc DVD of the complete first season of the show in 2006. The complete series was subsequently also made available in the US.